Why does it feel like I am going over the last loop and down the last hill for the roller coaster? Because it's almost over. That's why. Ugh. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for season 1, episode 10, which is the finale of Kandi and the gang. This is it. We are literally, the train is pulling into the stop and we got to get off, and all we want to do is go for one more round on the track, baby. Listen, this was a job well done. It was a job well done. I have completely enjoyed myself. I really, really have. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this last episode. First things first, they were in a meeting and they're announcing Chandrika's promotion. Baby, and here we see it for the very first time. Melvin. Said, Melvin, what you doing, Melvin? Melvin threw a little piece of shade. I said, I knew you had it in you, Melvin. He said, well, okay, so I don't know nothing about no head, the head maitre d' or what. She's still the host, right? Why ain't nobody up front? I said, Lord have mercy. Listen, same old business, same old Chandrika. Just with another title. That's all. I fell out. I was like, Melvin acting like Aunt Bertha. But it was pretty funny. It wasn't mean or nasty or vicious, because he's not. Melvin is an absolute sweetheart. He really is. But I think he says what he has to say when he has to say it. But this was like fun, and it was like a little piece of shade. I was like, good job, Melvin. Good job. I was tickled as hell. Anyway, moving on. So we see Tauren. Tauren is working with Victor. Now, if you've been watching anything that had to do with Kandi, anything that had to do with Real Housewives of Atlanta, or any of the other spinoff shows, you have seen Victor. Victor is a choreographer that actually works with Kandi a lot of times. So we've seen him, and they were kind of running through some of the acts that were going to be on the show, because it's the Friday, it used to be Friday Night Live, I believe, and now it's the Friday Night Vibe is what they're doing. This is Tauren's big shebang, okay? We are basically we've been in this whole thing for, what is it, like 6 weeks at this time, and, you know, their time. It's been like 6 weeks or so. So we're trying to see what it is that Tauren actually has going on, and how's his event going to go. This is his first event being back. So it's kind of like his time to show out. This is the shit to get off the pot, okay? This is going to tell the story, whether Tauren's going to be along for the ride, or we're going to say, well, you know, Tauren, it was fun. We'll catch you next time around, okay? So he's auditioning. Not really auditioning, but running over who the people are. He's working with Victor to get it all set up, to get the lineup of how this thing is going to run. It has a 70s theme. Listen, that's all. Baby, I don't care where you're from. I don't care where you're from. If it's melanated folks, the 70s are always our go-to. Anytime we go to the 70s, baby, we're going to have a good time. Period. That's our time period. That's like the 80s or Caucasian. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, you know, it's very white. For lack of better words, my city is very white, okay? And the 80s is their shit. You understand? Baby, it just is what it is. For us, it's the 70s, child. It's the Commodores. It's the Earth, Wind, and Fires of the world. That's our go-to for flashback good time. And the white folks here where I live, what I know white folks, the 80s is their shit. They're Oop, she bops and Cyndi Laupers and Guns N' Roses. The 80s is their shit. You know what I mean? And listen, if you go hang out with them, I love music. So I love every different genre of music that there is for the most part. And you get with them and they doing the 80s, you're gonna have a good time. They gonna party. They gonna get. You're gonna have a good time. I got white friends and black friends. You know, I don't care nothing about no color, child. I'm just, you know, I got some beautiful melanated color that I wear around every day, but I can get along with everybody. I love whatever loves me back. But baby, the 80s is the white folks shit. The 70s is the black folks shit. It just is what it is. And then you can even go back a little further. You can go play around in the 60s with the black folks. But the 70s is always a good pick. And for the record, Tauren, no, the electric slide is not the 70s. It's the 80s. Boogie, woogie, woogie. That was the 80s. The early 80s. Okay. Anyway, okay, so let's go. So Peppermint, there was the girl, Peppermint. She was groovy. She was really good. Like, I liked her vibe. I like her look. I said, I think she's going to be entertaining for this. And it's going to be held outside. So I was like, yeah, I think this, I liked her. I like her vibe of what they showed. So we go on. Patrick ends up coming in, and Patrick, I said, Lord, what now, Patrick? What now, baby? What do you want? Patrick come in. He wants to do his proposal to Safari. And, of course, Tauren is like, are you sure you ready? And he's like, I'm ready to die for her. I was like, Patrick, calm down. Calm down. All right. Woosah. But Tauren's like, you know what? If this is what you want, by all means, I got you. I got your back, and it's cool. So I said, well, that's going to be. I said, this is what I'm talking about. Little special elements and little stuff. I said, this is going to pop off. It's going to be good. Moving on. Patrick ended up, there was a whole scene where Patrick ended up helping in the kitchen. And that was a whole interesting situation. And it was like, okay. And then they kind of had a little flashback 6 weeks ago where old Melvin said it. And I remember Melvin did say a lot of managers have come and gone and they didn't really make it. They just didn't fit and they end up leaving or whatever. But he had a feeling that Phillip was going to be good. That Phillip was going to be a great choice. And he was absolutely right. Things have really turned around. It was a rocky start with that Phillip Patty with his fine self. But, things have come around. Things have come around. And I feel like it's gelling. You can even see it looks a lot less hectic. When you're looking at the filming and what's going on in the background, it looks a lot less hectic. So that says that things are working out. So, let's go with it. But yeah, to Melvin's credit, Melvin didn't say much, but every time Melvin says something on this screen, it has had an impact. Melvin was right. Anyway, let's go on. So let's go on over. We got Kandi, Todd, Don Juan, and Phillip sit down. And they have to talk to Phillip now because remember, he's only supposed to be there temporarily, and they need to get a feel for what we're doing next. What's Phillip, what's he doing? What's his next move going to be? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And we got some things that are just hanging on that we need to talk about. And in the things to talk about was Dawn and her leaving, or was it going to be Brandon leaving? Shardo's name came up. Because what we didn't see a lot of, but Shardo been showing Shardo's whole ass, the whole thing. The crack in underneath, right at his leg, his whole ass. Shardo. Said a good thing they ain't been filming a whole lot of you. You've been carrying, sugar. But that was like a whole thing. Phillip felt like, look, Shardo ain't working out. Period. He wasn't even trying to. No, he ain't working out. Dom is like, girl, bye. Ain't you leaving? See you, girl. It's time to go. And Phillip feels like definitely he wasn't budging on that. Dom could go, and he feels like Brandon is more of the the thing that they needed to keep there because he sees something in Brandon. Everybody else don't see it. I don't know, Brandon. I'm still kind of like, Brandon, you do a lot of stuff on your phone. I don't know. You don't be knocking me out with what you're doing. You nice and all, but nice ain't getting these plates out the kitchen. But okay. And then the whole thing about Tauren. It's like we're kind of pulling and pushing for Tauren. Phillip's not so sure about Tauren, and he feel like, you know what, the event will tell the story. The event is going to tell the story of whether we need to keep on playing with Tauren or if we need to just kind of part ways. And then Phillip decided, and he told him, I'm staying. Like, I'm liking what I'm working on. I don't feel like we're all the way to the vision that I have, and I'm willing to stay a little longer. And Kandi and Tauren were really, both of them, see, through this whole thing, Kandi and Tauren have you noticed that they've basically been at odds with most things? At most things that have come up for this restaurant, Kandi and Tauren have agreed to disagree. Okay? But on that, when it comes to Phillip and Phillip being there, they were both so happy. You can see it in their faces. It was like somebody lifted a monkey off their back. It's like, whew, okay, he's going to stay. And, we got this. So, because again, I know they see the progress. They see the progress. We see it from out here looking in a little tiny little spot on a lens that ain't even clear. You know what I mean? I know they have to see it. That, what they're doing is working. Moving on. So, there was a conversation between Tauren, Brian, and Shardo. Brian is actually going to be the host. The hostess with the mostess. He used to be back in the day when they used to do Friday Night Live. So he's going to go back into that role of doing the host. And I said, I see that because Brian is very lively. But I said, let's see what he does on the mic. And I can't imagine that he wouldn't be good at hosting and commentating because his mouth he's quick. He's quick. I said, yeah, he'll be fine. I'm not even worried about him. And then especially with the whole fact of there being, we'll say costumes, a costume type of a dress code. Child, I give him a reason to play and drag, honey. So Brian's going to be perfect. So that was that. They were saying, everything's going to be good. They were settled on the 70s theme and all of that. And then that's when Shardo breaks out and was saying how he thinks that Safari is just the prettiest girl he has ever seen. And of course, Tauren ain't totally sold on Miss Safari. And he's like, okay, if you say so, that's fine. Like, he ain't ready to argue, but he ain't ready to jump in either. It's like, okay, if you must, that's cool. I was like, okay, Shardo. Shardo, again, we didn't see a whole lot of Shardo. And we'll see why in a little bit. But he's different. He's a little bit to figure out. Like, some things just came out of left field. Like, when him and Dom got to arguing that time, that just kind of came out of left field. I was like, what the hell? He just busts out being the mouthpiece saying too much and got all jammed up because Dom cussed his ass out. But anyway, so, is what it is. Moving on. Don Juan. Now, we know there's a special bond between Dawn and Tauren. Okay? They're like brothers. They're like brothers. So, their interaction is going to be different than everybody else's interaction. You kind of just got to let it be what it be. That's just how life is. It's just kind of like that sometimes. Don Juan wants Tauren to succeed. Okay? But he ain't got no time for Tauren dropping the ball. So I think what happens is whenever Tauren tends to drop the ball a little bit on something that Don Juan feels like he should do, Don Juan gets uber upset because he's just disappointed in the fact that you would drop the ball. And he's trying to let him make his mistakes without falling completely on his face. Okay? So when I seen this scene, I was like, child, whatever happens, Tauren ain't going nowhere. And he just literally, he's going to give him whatever he needs, but he got to ask for it. He needs to come up and say, this is what I need, this, that, and the other. And it was a lesson to be learned. That's all it was. It was a lesson to be learned. We're going to talk about it. So moving on, let's talk about Patrick and his mom. Patrick and his mom go out to the flower shop. Oh my God. She's Kandi's older cousin. She is just the softest Kandi, child. At the mention of any of this mess, she got the tearing up and carrying on, and her voice got the crack. I said, child, yeah, you Kandi's family, child. She was just as emotional, and she would start talking about how her and Patrick are just literally their besties. And it was so funny to watch, because when I looked at it, that is my mother and my brother. Me and my mother, we're close. But my mother and my brother are like this. They literally, me and my mother look exactly like, now I got her looks. I look just like her. Like she spit me out on the ground. I look just like her. But my brother and her, child, them two. They could just sit and talk and talk and talk, and they do the same stuff, and they like the same stuff. Child, they're like besties. And I got that vibe from Patrick and his mom, and I said, I understand it. I completely understand it. I understand why she's all choked up about it, because when you add that female element into, I understand, honey. I know what this looks like, honey. I said, and that's, she's like, you know, you gonna always be my bestie. And he like, you always gonna be my first girl. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Because ain't nobody been able to turn his head away from nothing that Safari say. But she better not go over there messing with that mother. Safari better fall in line what pertains to that mother. And whoever Melvin shack up with better fall the hell on in line with Kandi and Aunt Bertha, or you're just going to be hell to pay. I know what that little dynamic look like, honey. Boys and their mothers. You don't want to play that game. You will lose every time. Every time. Anyway, but I got that whole vibe. That's like the vibe at our house, honey. That mother and the son besties, honey. That is my mom and my brother all day, every day. Okay, moving on. So here we go. We got Don Juan and Tauren. Okay. And they are talking, and Philip is kind of there. And this is where I say you got to kind of let the Tauren and Don Juan thing just happen. Philip was like, well, don't get upset. Nobody get upset. Wait a minute, Tauren. Don't walk away. I was like, I say, I ain't never seen Philip like that cowered down and like, well, wait, I'm trying to fix it and I can't fix. No, you can't fix it. Don Juan was yelling. Like he was yelling. He was so aggravated at the things that weren't going right. We're at the party now. He was so aggravated. He's like, these are things that should have been done. There's some things you should have micromanaged. There's some things that you should have reached out and said, listen, this is what I need. And delegate, you know, to other parties. You can't do everything, can't be everywhere and all that. And that is a skill that Tauren needs to build up to do this. But he's good. He's good with this. He definitely has a vision, and carrying it out is just small things. And he's going to be fine. And Don Juan can see it. Don Juan can see it. He knows it. And I think he just got so frustrated. Like, how did you let this small stuff get in the way? You know what I mean? So that was that. And honey, Don Juan was yelling. Y'all know how Don could be, baby. Don was yelling, honey, at Tauren. I said, yeah, it's personal. And Tauren was like, I said, that's the brother thing. That's me and Chez, child. We be doing that, child. All that yelling and screaming and carrying on. And Philip didn't understand. Wait a minute. They'll fix it in a minute. Just give him a second. And it was more of a disappointment thing. And he said, what, so when I asked for help, that's stupid? Oh, stupid. Yeah, stupid. Said, we make too much money. Anybody running to the goddamn store for you? It's like, absolutely. You should have. You'll get it. It's small stuff. This small stuff. You'll get it. You have to cover yourself. And that's what he didn't do. That was the lesson in it all. He didn't cover himself. You know, he was trying to cover everything and all the bases, but he didn't cover himself. Brandon dropped the ball. That was part of the problem. But you know how Brandon do. If it ain't in Brandon's phone, you better not wait on it. Brandon, we seen Brandon say that he was going to take care of getting the servers for him. No servers. Where's Brandon? Some we're trying to figure out what Dominique is doing. I swear. Anyway, moving on. Let's go talk about our friend Brian. Brian was the perfect host. The perfect host. He was Brian, honey. That makeup was done. You understand? I said, come through here with this drag makeup, honey. The makeup was done, and he was just having himself a good time. The hair was up there and stuff. Child, how cute was the OLG with their afros? I was cracking up. And, child, when they went over there, honey, I was like, look at them, honey. They looked just like a little blaxploitation movie. Honey. They had their afros on like, oh, ah. You better watch yourself, sugar. I was like, check them out, honey. They look cute. Brian, like I said, was perfect. He had all the drag-tastic stuff going on. Everything was overdone. His jacket had a train with ruffles. His jeans were the jeans were real cute. The little slice up there. I was like, come on through here, Brian. Just fun. He looked like he was leading the whole thing, and he was perfect on the mic. He was just damn good. He really was. He's in his element. And his egg rolls were a hit at the party. They was back there. That Philip, I don't know if Philip don't like nothing else. Philip was back there firing on them egg rolls. I was like, look at him. But yeah, they were a hit at the party. So I think things are going to work out really, really well for Brian and his business venture. Okay, so here's where it gets really weird. There was this whole conversation. I said, oh, why are we doing this here? About this whole thing with Shardo. I was like, oh my God. Honey, when they got to talk about Shardo done some of everything. Child, Shardo done called off. Shardo done did some no-shows. No call, no show. Shardo, well, his biggest issue was Shardo had actually taken money from someone in the line to move them up, and that is a complete no-no. Tauren and Kandi are completely against that. Like, you don't buy your way up in the line to a table and all that kind of stuff. And he did that. He, like, accepted the money and stuff. And Chandrika busted on him. She's like, yeah, he kind of, yeah. And she kind of had the last say. And it was like, you know what? Well, we're going to have to let you go. I was like, oh, my God. Todd was there. Todd and Kandi's costumes. Todd was... If Todd didn't look like he walked right out of the back room where the costumes was from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, honey, I said, you get out of here, Todd. Sucker. They sitting there. He got fired right there. I said, Shardo, how did you get fired on your day off? You got fired at an industry party. I said, oh my God. How embarrassing. And then he didn't leave. He was still there at the party. And every time the camera hit him, he just looked sad and stupid at him. I said, poor baby. Like, you had an industry party and I got fired on your day off. Child, psh, that was horrible. I was embarrassed for him, honey. I said, well, but the stuff that they were saying he was doing, baby, they should have been got you. They should have been got you. Wasn't even no talk about you. Baby, you're out of here. I was like, wow. Then, what we didn't really know, well, no, let me skip that. Next thing up was this guy was singing. He was singing good. And then here comes Patrick dressed up in his suit. He looked so cute. And he got up there and he said his little speech. And then he brought Safari up. She's sitting there looking clueless. Like, what is he doing? Is he going to start singing? And everybody's sitting there looking like, oh my God. Chandrika's shady behind. She's like, I know this nigga ain't getting ready to do no proposal out here. And she's bopping around. And she kept saying, let me go get June. I got to go get June. I'll be sitting here with my man. I said, girl, You can say what you want, Chandrika. You still, whatever it is that Patrick did to you back in that cooler or whatever y'all was at, mistake, he tore you up, honey. He tore you up, girl. And listen, I ain't mad. It is what it is. Go on, Patrick. Safari got it now, girl. But he did something to you, Miss Thing. Y'all did something to each other, honey. Y'all was firing at that back there. But anyway, they dropped this little thing and then they had to sign the sign said, marry me. She said yes. Everybody was celebrating. It was cool. Chandrika was hating. She gonna say, better her than me. Stop hating. Stop hating. Stop hating. I get it. Patrick give you a little tingle in your box. I get it. But girl, it is what it is. It is what it is. Stop hating. It's fun. Stop hating. Anyway, moving on. I probably wouldn't have picked Safari for Patrick either. I think she's a little controlling, but it is what it is. He loves the girl, so let's move on, child. Time to buy a pretty dress and let's eat some cake. Anyway, stop hating. Moving on. So now this is where we see, I was like, where is Victor? You know, because everything was put together really good and all that stuff. So where's Victor? And then here we got Victor. Victor was actually performing. Victor was closing up the show. And I don't know what the song is. I'm going to try to look and find it. But the song, I was enjoying the song. And he's a choreographer. He's a cute little thing. They was up there jamming. Him and his girls. He had his girls behind him in their afros and their little dresses on. And they was back there. They was getting it. And they, you know, they kept panning away from it and back to it. But the song sounded really good. So I'm going to try to find it and see if I can actually find the song. But I hope he's actually releasing it as a single. I didn't even know that Victor sang. And we already knew he danced. But I thought they was getting down, baby. They was getting down. You understand me? So I was peeping that. I was like, all right, Victor, I got to see what you got going on, baby. So that was cool. Then they, you know, they kind of were wrapping up, so we do the reality TV thing. They were doing like 6-month check-ins. It was like 6 months. Everybody's doing really good. Here it is. Patrick and Safari done bought a house. So they done moved into a house together. That's really nice. Chandrika and June have actually gotten engaged. They're engaged. And they are getting ready to get married. They got their little marriage date out there. Dominique and Brandon are still together. Dom did her tour with Rick Ross and said it was the best time of her life. But they still pulling strong. Brian and his whole thing with the egg rolls, his little restaurant is going to be opening up soon. Philip, him and his dude Felipe, they still pulling strong. And everybody's still at OLG except for Shardo. Honey, they filmed over on Shardo. I said Shardo. I looked at him again, honey, and I said, fired on your day off. Poor baby. Anyway, then they go on, and you know that Aunt Bertha always closes up the show for me. Of course, the OLG girls are just perfectly fine, honey. God got them, honey. Aunt Bertha, Aunt Nora, and Mama Joyce, honey. God bless y'all, and thank y'all for an exciting 10 weeks, honey, because I have enjoyed you all. But Aunt Bertha always send me out with something to carry me over to at least Wednesday laughing about it, honey, and saying what Aunt Bertha said. Child, that Aunt Bertha said, I'm ready to go. How long I've been sitting here? I've been sitting in here. Yeah, I've been sitting here a long time. That's how long I've been sitting in here, and I'm ready to go on out that door. So I said, let her out of there, honey. She had enough of this bullshit. So that was the wrap of the show. They wrapped up with my girl on Bertha, honey. I was screaming. It was good though. This is really, really good. I don't know how. I can think of like several ways. Listen, if you don't know how, just hit me up. I'll tell you, Joe. But several ways to go on into a season 2. I would love to see a season 2. I really, really would. I've heard nothing about a reunion. I don't think there's going to be a reunion because the last thing that I did see is that there was an actual visit to Andy's show, What Happens Live. And we had Dom, Chandrika, Philip, Patrick, and Brian on the show, and it was set up sort of like a reunion. And Andy was messy as hell with them questions. Oh my God. It was just like being at a reunion. Messy, 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 messy. And what I said, oh, Andy, you want some of Philip, do you, huh? There was this one question when he said, who is the sexiest person? No, is Philip the sexiest person at the OLG? And they had their little cards and they all had to answer at the same time, agree or disagree. Baby, they was giving disagree, honey, and Andy was giving it was big old agree. I was like, oh, really now, Andy? So you want some of Philip, do you, huh? Sit on down, Andy. Sit on down. I had a good time, though. It was funny. It was funny. It was really, really good over there with Andy. You know Andy messy, child. And he was bringing all the mess forth. All the mess. It gave you all the elements of a nice little, tight little reunion. Messy as hell. Just a good old time. Listen, this has been a pleasure. This has been Kandi and the Gang. This was the finale. Had a great time. I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back because they are definitely television ready. They're television ready and they are a good time. Like I said, when we first started this wasn't nothing but the black version of Vanderpump Rules. I am here for it. So if there's a season 2, baby, I'll be sitting, well, maybe not right here on this couch, but somewhere in this house. I'll be sitting somewhere in the house reviewing. All right, y'all. Catch y'all next time. Later.